Hi, welcome to my new video. In this video I'm gonna talk about Nixos and a specific characteristic it has. And that is that it can be used as a hybrid release Linux distro. What do I mean with that? And how is it actually the most reliable system, so Linux or non-Linux system I've ever worked with? Indifferent if you're talking about gaming, music production, or video editing, whatever. Again, what I wanna mention beforehand, before you continue to watch these videos, the influx of new YouTubers making tutorials about, you can switch to Linux, it's pretty easy, etc., has grown tremendously the last weeks. And if you are the type of person that has switched away or is trying to switch away from Windows, Nixos is not really for you. It's not a beginner-friendly distro. I want to mention that beforehand, before you get confused or frustrated with anything, okay? Use Linux Mint. This is a great distro for beginners. Nixos is for more advanced users. And again, I use Nixos for music production, etc. But if you're a beginner, you will most likely burn yourself. But yeah, again, now that we have gotten that out of the way, let's go. In regards of now, may it be building workings, setup, etc., you have many choices, but also that one of the biggest hurdles you're gonna stumble across is how comfortable am I working with Linux? Specifically asking, do I wanna work with a stable release distro like Debian, Fedora, so that come in fixed intervals, the big updates, etc., and they have most likely been all error checked, so that when you switch to this new version, then it works without any issues. Or am I going with a rolling release distro? May it be Void Linux, may it be Arch Linux, for example, where there are no versions, but there is, fluid updates. And the problem is that with, for example, Arch Linux, it's great, it's minimalistic, etc. That's not a problem, that it's unstable. And when something breaks, you need to roll back your system. And that has never really worked because the rollback program itself has problems, etc. But on Nixos, the rollbacks are happening on a system level. You do not need any third-party programs to do that. I've made a video about Nixos, two videos, Nixos specifically and Nixos in terms of music production. In the description you can find it. To explain it shortly, that when you're in Nixos, you do not have a package manager like you would have in any other distro, but you have a config.nix file and the Nix store. Basically what you do is to edit the configuration.nix file and then rebuild your system. Either you type in sudo nixos rebuild switch to make these changes apply immediately, or like for example on immutable distros or similar to that, you type in sudo nixos rebuild boot. That means the changes are only being applied after a reboot. That's your choice. But again, if you're changing kernel level stuff, GUI stuff, etc., rebuild boot, for example, might be more recommendable, but that's unimportant right now. What you do is when you rebuild your system, you've made some changes, a new setup is being built from the ground up, and then you just switch to that, may it be after a system update, etc. This also means that the older system version before the update or before you installed some specific program is still being present. So if something should break, you can just roll back to the previous version. But there's another thing I really want to point out. For example, if you're someone like me who has just recently switched to the unstable channel, because in Nixos you can use it as a stable channel by using Nixos 25.5, I think, or some previous versions, or you just switch to Nixos unstable, basically transforming it into a rolling release distro. but it still has the rollback functionality without any issues. Now, you might stumble across a problem. You have switched to the unstable channel, and the NVIDIA drivers are newer because NVIDIA really needs the newest versions. And the KDE Plasma desktop, for example, the newer version is a bit smoother than the older versions, etc. But for example, this one specific program you have really become accustomed to, in the unstable channel it's broken. It does not want to build, it does not work. But on the stable channel it did. Or in the old stable build it worked. But again, you do not want to switch to the previous version, your entire system. You just want to have this program come back to working conditions. How do you do this? And in NixOS, it's a bit complicated, but I'm just gonna explain the flake which I've built. And so to explain to you how I manage this, basically I use the unstable channel as my main system version, but I've also enabled multiple other channels, the last stable channel, or the second last stable channel, and even the third last stable channel. So for example, if a specific program of the unstable channel is not working, I can, for example, switch this. I can, for example, say this program in the unstable channel is broken, but in the last stable channel it was working. So everything is being pulled from the unstable channel, with the exception of this program. It is pulled from the stable channel, or from the last stable channel, for example, if you would want to. And then it's again the way how NixOS works, with everything being more or less semi-containerized on a system level. This is a different topic right now. It works. Okay, I've got it to work. Basically, this is what I want to say. And again, it's a bit confusing at the beginning how you can set it up. Basically, what you can do is, for example, use the stable channel for your main system and use the unstable channel for some specific programs, or the other way around. Or for example, maybe you have a specific program that was working, that the last time it worked was 2 years ago, in the stable channel 2 years ago. So you can get this program from the stable channel 2 years ago, where everything is the last version, for example. Now, if you are really relying on a pretty broken ass program, which is not even properly supported, that's a different topic. But again, on NixOS you have the choice, and I'm gonna show it to you. Now, before I continue with this video, I wanna mention again that this is for advanced users. So if you're just the type of user who just wants to get away from Windows, this distro is not really something I would recommend for you, okay? It's just for experienced users, so you know it. The thing is, on most Linux distros, is that primarily you have two choices. Either you have a stable release distro, it may be Debian, Fedora, or the other kind of distros you can use. Or you have rolling release distros, may it be Arch Linux, may it be Arch Linux, may it be Void Linux, etc. And the similar process you have on NixOS. You have a choice. Basically, you can say, I want to use a NixOS as a stable release distro, or I switch to the unstable channel and thereby make it a rolling release distro. The thing is, if you're someone who has lots of packages, I'm just gonna show to you. Now, yeah, here have some pre-config setups, the kernel I'm utilizing, etc. Good and fine. The desktop, okay, unimportant right now. But you have lots of different kind of packages installed. And here you can see stable. Okay, that's weird formatting. I will explain later on because this is the main topic of this video. But you know, some coding tools, etc. And there are lots of different packages. And as you can see, when I go to NVIDIA X server settings, I'm using 580. The newest version, the newest stable NVIDIA version you can have is 570. Unless you're working with the beta version, which is 575. The thing is, I want to utilize the Zen kernel. And the Zen kernel is, with NVIDIA drivers, yeah, it's a bit problematic. Because when we are opening the browser, Nixos wiki, and we go to kernels, written correctly, that always helps. No. Kernel. Yeah. Here we have a list of all the different kernels, and as you can see, with the default kernel, you have, you know, version setups. Basically, you can say I want to have the 6.3, 6.2 version, etc. That goes with most kernels, but not the Zen kernel, because the Zen kernel only has one version, which is the latest version. If you're trying to work particularly NVIDIA drivers, because NVIDIA drivers are not in the kernel. So yeah, I have had lots of problems with that. But NVIDIA incompatibilities is not the topic of this video, which is just basically a short introduction. As you can see, I have lots of programs here installed. And as you can see, I'm running the unstable channel. Basically, I'm using it as a rolling release distro. And I can just show you. Flake.nix. This is my main channel, Nixos Unstable. The thing is, unstable channel, most part works without any issues. But as you can imagine, if you have lots of different packages, the likelihood that one of these packages will fail to build on an unstable channel, grows exponentially. And I had this exact same issue. For example, if we are going to... Where was it? Yeah, Butterfest procs, for example, or Butterfest assistant. On the unstable channel, they have failed to build. And as you can see, I'm typing as stable. What am I doing here? Because, as you can see, I have, first of all, the main channel. Basically, if it's not specifically declared, I'm using the unstable channel, which I use for my desktop environment, for my system level, etc. But I'm also using some stable channel I've declared myself, which is 25.5, old stable 24.11, and old stable. You can name them however you would want. You just need to be consistent on your entire flake. Because I will write it down in the comment section for you to get, because yeah, it's not really... I'm also using Home Manager, that's a different topic. Again, as you can see, this is not for beginners. And if a program is failing to build, you can just, for example, stable, which I have declared here, on Nix overlays, also here, basically saying that while everything is being pulled from the unstable channel, when I type in stable beforehand, it is pulled from the stable channel. And for example, a specific program I had some problems with, if I can find it. Oh, here, FN synth, because the unstable version is not working. The last stable version is also not building, but also only the old stable, you can name it however you want, that was the only version that has worked. So that version here, 25.5. So that allows you to mix channels, basically to create your own hybrid release distro. You can also say, I want to have the stable channel primarily and unstable channel for some specific programs. You have full control over that. Yeah, I would recommend, if you're rather unsure, try it out on a virtual machine, and then if you're feeling comfortable with it, because these are my inputs, my primary channel, then the stable channel, specifically declared, my Musenix channel, which is relevant for audio production. If you have seen my video optimizing Nixos for music production, then you might know it. And the home manager, that's rather irrelevant right now. But yeah, again, I will copy my flake file in here. So yeah, because on GitHub I made a collection for my laptop and my PC. And on my PC section, you will have the entire configuration of my flake.nix, etc. The hardware.configuration nix you should delete, because that's just deleted, but everything else can be copied onto your system to have the exact same setup as I do. Or if you just want to check out the flake.nix, for example, and have a reference to build your own flake.nix file. Because Nixos has the advantage that you can just copy text here and there, basically flakes or confnix, etc. But I think it's better if you type it yourself and gain some experience in that regard. That's my personal thoughts here. Yeah. Also linked in the description. I hope it was interesting, this video. I brought you some more insight into our Nixos, and yeah, keep working, because there's still much to Usuru and go read Berserk.